Oh, it's Chow Chow. Whoever is here, dxʷləšucid. dxʷləšucid. I'm going to be going over some of our ancestors. So the Lushootseed word for ancestors is Tulalip, Tulalip, and our is Chach at the end. So Tulalip is our ancestors. So I created this PowerPoint to help guide and to enrich the opportunity for everybody to get to know and to remember, because it's crucial and important to remember our ancestors. So let's get started. So remembering is aslachdoch ti yolabchach. So remembering our ancestors. So first to recall is Lizzie. So Elizabeth Christ. So Elizabeth, of course, grew up Alati Spibadat. She grew up, her family had a long house and a home at Spibada. And she did a very notorious story for the Lushootseed program. She had recorded this life story, we call it, where she went clam digging with her dog. And I usually talk to children about Alati to Chachas, Utsichada Lizzie. When she was a child, that she went by herself across the bay to Hoishid, and she did clam digging all by herself with her dog, Rover, and they came back. And it was like her going bike riding to the store to get milk for the house and come back without nobody knowing, but she provided for her family table. So, so I always use that a little bit about how mature children were a long time ago. And of course, Lizzie, and she is always surrounded by dogs, squawquabite. And of course, she is a tupshida, a ti dxʷləšucid. So she is a language warrior. She was recorded, and her recordings help to preserve the Lushootseed language. She had worked with Dr. Tom Hess, and Dr. Hess, the late Tom Hess, felt it was important to go and to interview elders back in the 60s and 70s, because he knew that their languages were slowly disappearing. So he felt it was part of his field of work to go and to interview, so that we could actually preserve and build on to the recordings to save the Lushootseed language. Dai Hach dus Yehobt. She was an excellent storyteller. She didn't really look at herself that way at first, because when she was asked to tell a story, she didn't know how to or what to do. But from what Dr. Toby Langan said, she had brought out the Lady Louse story, and it's in perfect circular form. And that's an elegant way of storytelling. And we all kind of talk in that kind of a pattern, like rings around, and we have a point that we're trying to make. So storytellers long ago did that naturally. So, and in the Lushootseed language. And she fed her family from her own garden. So that was a way of looking after the health of family members. So, and I think that's a definite great aunt, grandmother, and all type of in doing so. So, and of course, Tulalip Tribes does it today with the herbal gardens and stuff to help with the diabetes program and other type. And of course, these are the couple pictures of Lizzie. And our next ancestor is dxʷləšucid. So Hank Gobin was a definite dynamic person, and he had a very big dream, and his dream was built, and he was able to witness and see it coming together with the building of the Hilbert Cultural Center and Natural Preserve. So, and of course, dxʷləšucid was also an art major. So this is a couple of his art pieces. So, and he studied down south and near Santa Fe and in California. So he definitely did a lot of influencing with other students. You know, he had a very dynamic style in his art. So, and Hank was also the director and manager of cultural resources when the department was in existence. And he did a lot of government work as well for FAP. He was also part of the Salmon Solutions. I think that was in Everett. So I think some of my stuff were from the other day. So here and of course, he oversaw the Tulalip canoes when the canoe journey had first started out. And of course, he was a dxʷləšucid, a wonderful uncle to many. So, dxʷləšucid. And next is dxʷləšucid. And this is Violet Hilbert, and her Indian name was dxʷləšucid. She also had another Indian name, Quistania, I think. She definitely was a definite Lushootseed dxʷləšucid. She was a Lushootseed warrior. Definitely the wanting to preserve the language. She had done a lot of work, and she even has her own collection, the Hilbert collection down at UW. She has a memorial garden named after her. It's a beautiful garden down at Seattle University. Also, she has there is the Vi Hilbert Hall, so a building named after her. So Vi also worked on various Lushootseed work and transcribe and translating. She did that for her great aunt, or her aunt, Gokotsa, so which was Susie Sampson Peter. And she did other work She also had a symphony wrote and performed. So she did a lot of, she's known as National Treasure. So she assisted in creating the Lushootseed dictionary. So dxʷləšucid, and she worked with Don Bates, and she worked with Dr. Tom Hess, the three of them, to create the Lushootseed Dictionary, which is assisting so many language programs all around Washington State. She also started her, how would you say that? dxʷləšucid. She started the Lushootseed Research Foundation, and it's still being looked after by her, her granddaughter, Jill Lapointe. So, and it's a nonprofit. So, and they do support many language programs and materials, creation of materials. So it's just a really fantastic foundation. Next, Hoigol dxʷləšucid, and this is Shelton Stan Jones Sr. So dxʷləšucid. So he was a good-looking guy. He dxʷləšucid. He was, of course, a vet. So there he is in uniform. dxʷləšucid. So he was a true leader. And I think this quote comes from the wall down at Hilbert Cultural Center. True slave to his people. So a leader, according to William Shelton, is a slave to his people. So dxʷləšucid. And he served on the board for 44 years. So dxʷləšucid made it his life work. And the elder, of course, senior home was named after him. So this provides a lot of comfort and gives our people a chance to keep our Lushootseed. So it gives us a chance to keep our elders here with us. And Shelton was also a dxʷləšucid treaty. So he was a definite a treaty warrior and an activist, and he was always looking after the rights of and that is him with Billy Frank and Glenn Gobin. And he also took pride in sharing his life in the book, Our Way. So, and I noticed when I last visited him, he had his own, I call it action figure. I don't want to call it Barbie because me and him chuckled about that. So he had his own action figure of himself, the way he looks in this one, or the one corner picture there in the blue. And his action figures holding a drum, and it just adorned the way he was. So I told them not too many get an action figure. And that's it for right now. I'm sorry. So I just wanted to wrap up with telling, I don't know how to break from this. So I kind of wanted to tell you guys the story of lifting the sky, but I wanted to start with just a tidbit of it, just half or part of it, since your time is so precious. So I'm going to start with dxʷləšucid. So this is the walk of dxʷləšucid. So when we start out, I always tell folks that there is a BC and an AD with the native people. There is the walk before dxʷləšucid. And when people could be animals, animals could be people, rocks and sticks could move, all kinds of stuff that were uniquely different. Then after the walk of dxʷləšucid, the sticks and rocks don't move no more. And of course, the water life can't come up on shore anymore. There's all kinds of stuff that stopped. So dxʷləšucid, there was Changer, and Changer was walking. And his first of his work he was doing altia, and he was doing it all over the world. So one of his work was to distribute language, distribute it all over. So it and he had it in a big basket. So in all these languages, he would toss and distribute them. And Pacific Northwest. So, and then he arrived at our land. Odds Altia Chad. And it was just beautiful everywhere. And from what Vi had once said, the land was more beautiful than what we've seen today. So we do have pretty land, but way a long time ago, it was probably more. There was more beauty there. And so Guatlad, as hot tube, a tea dxʷləšucid, guach. He wanted to look around. He wanted to search and observe all of its beauty. And so Lushootseed Elizabeth, Haycopti squatted alti. And he saw inside his basket that he still had a lot of languages. And so and he would toss them all over. And that's why there is so many languages in the Washington State area. And so I'm going to end this. So tomorrow I'll continue the story about dxʷləšucid and the people having an issue after they can't understand each other. So, and we're going to learn about 4 other ancestors. So, dxʷləšucid, thank you so much for joining. Hey.